Welcome to Freda Chando Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. In case you are watching this channel for the first time, allow me to request you to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and like our video. William Ruto's proposal to create a new office of the opposition leader through an act of parliament has been rejected by Azimio. When William Ruto wrote a letter to the two speakers, Mr. Moses Wetangula of the National Assembly and Mr. Amason Kingi of the Senate, to fast-track the modalities of creating this office, he thought it was going to be a walk in the park. He really assumed that the Azimio fraternity were going to be very happy that there is a new office coming up for Raila. But it seems it has reached a dead end. William Ruto on Madaraka Day showered Raila Odinga with praises and said that it was the role of the opposition to criticize his government, and he said that there is nothing wrong with the Azimio led by Raila Odinga criticizing his government. He said they are doing his job, and for the first time there was a change of tune simply because he is trying to appease Raila Odinga to accept an office. When they flew out of the country to Washington DC for the US-American summit, there was some expectations that they were going to sit down and fine-tune any kind of challenges that the creation of this office would have. But even before Raila Odinga jetted back, some of his very close allies had rejected any attempt to give Raila Odinga an office that is created through an act of parliament, and they said that instead such an office can only be created by the popular initiative, where the process goes to the people to conduct a referendum. And rightly so, because they feel if it is given by parliament, which William Ruto controls, then they will start bragging that they have given Raila Odinga an office, so Raila Odinga should keep quiet. Watampimia hewa. They will take the bragging rights. So one thing that William Ruto has done is that he has sent the clergy to try and talk to Raila to accept this office. That again has fallen in dead ears. Raila has rejected the attempts by the clergy to reconcile him with William Ruto as far as this office is concerned, and he has maintained that there is nothing wrong with the office except that it has to go through the people. But why do you think that Raila Odinga does not want to listen to the church? If you have been following the politics of Kenya, there was a time when the clergy was a voice of the people. The clergy became a thorn in the flesh of the government. If you look at people like Ndingi, Mwana and Zeki and Njoya, and there was a lot of criticism from the church. They could not see anything wrong in the government and keep quiet. They helped the opposition to keep the government into check. But our churches have become very partisan. In the last campaigns, the churches took sides, and many of them helped William Ruto to campaign. The most ridiculous thing that I ever saw during that campaign was that they allowed Ruto's campaign portraits to be erected in some of their churches. I have never seen such a thing before. And they had told Ruto that they were praying for him. In fact, when William Ruto ascended to power together with his friend Rigathi Gachagua, they said that their win came from God. The fact that there were irregularities in the process notwithstanding. And so for the church to come now and pretend that they have undergone some complete metamorphosis, and they now want Raila Odinga to sit down with them so that they can reconcile, is something that is very preposterous and very ridiculous. And this is the reason why Raila Odinga is uneasy sitting down with the church. On the pronunciation of the winner of the 2022 presidential election, led by Ole Sapit, They presided over an event that was quite chaotic, one that very many experts have poked holes into. Ole Sapit witnessed the fracas in Bomas, where his brother Ledama Lekina was beaten, almost got injured or maimed in the process. He never condemned it. He never tried as a man of God to talk about it as if he was trying to mediate between the two warring factions. And the Azimio fraternity has never forgotten that fateful day when William Ruto was declared the president by the IEBC, despite some of the complaints from from the quarters, people like Lekanchori, who believed that the process was flouted. And so Raila Amolo Odinga is still bitter with some of the bishops and the churches, the evangelical churches. So they cannot come back now and tell Raila to take an office that Raila does not agree with the process. I have always maintained that it is the role of the church to ensure that after every divisive election, they sit the competitors together and mediate for peace, so that we can have a truce, and so that when Kenyans take off after an election, they can now concentrate on building our country without bitterness. But that is not happening, and the church has failed to condemn illegalities that are happening in the government. Even when there are controversial issues bedeviling the government, they have kept quiet. There was a time, in fact even now, we have a big debate about the genetically modified organisms. All the churches kept quiet except the Catholic, and I applaud them for this. They came out and said that let us not force the GMO down the throats of Kenyans. Let us incorporate all the experts so that we can understand what GMO is before it takes off. And I want to assure you that we will not see our churches rising up to condemn any legality in the government. What we have seen are our churches giving the Kenya Kwanza team church podiums that are now being used as campaign chances. Because on every Sunday, I have seen our Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua given a podium, and he uses those podium to condemn the opposition, to talk ill and paint Raila Amolo Odinga in bad faith. And what you see are the bishops and the clergy clapping and applauding when Rigathi Gachagua is talking. And so you do not expect the opposition to give you an audience, yet you are very partisan in your approach to some of these political matters. In any warring, whenever two warring factions want to meet, they always insist that they need a neutral partner in the process. Our churches are not neutral. The clergy have become allies of the Ruto government. We have seen them being given money. We have seen Ruto buying a personal car to the bishops. And so the notion that the opposition has is that the church and the government is one thing. If they have to convince Raila that they can sit down and become a neutral mediator, then they must stop being partisan. They must look for a non-partisan approach to convince Raila that now we are neutral. They must start criticizing where it is due. We always give credit where it is due. When the government does something that is good, it is always very important to give them accolades. But when they are blatantly messing up, then the church needs to come up and criticize this. And ladies and gentlemen, Raila Amolo Odinga is not about to take this office because the church has failed to be a neutral arbiter in the process. What do you think? Do you think the church as it is constituted, the evangelical churches, can bring a truce, can sit down Raila Odinga and William Ruto to talk and iron out any differences if they have? I don't think so. Maybe the USA can. That is my take, ladies and gentlemen.